guys, and welcome back to today's video. As you can see by the title, today we're going to be talking about interview questions and like my tips and tricks to getting the job or doing well in an interview. I'm currently a junior at Florida State University, and I just feel like recently, because I've done so many interviews trying to get an internship this summer, I really just kind of have developed some of my tips and tricks that I feel like have helped me in interview situations and kind of like understand better what they're looking for. And so today I'm going to be sharing my tips and tricks with you guys. Whether you're going through the interview process for a full-time position or an internship or just like a part-time job, all these tips and tricks will work for any of these things. Okay, so if I'm looking down, it's because I made some notes on my phone here that I just wanted to make sure I talked about. So the first tip that I have is to prepare in advance. And I'm sure you've heard this many times, but it really does take you a long way. And so basically what I mean by preparing in advance is to spend time, almost like spending time that you would take to do homework on the company that you are interviewing with. And so there are multiple ways that I like to go about doing this. So for me personally, I always create a Word document for the company or position that I'm going to be applying for. And so what I do is I first start by researching the company's history, so like when they were founded, their CEO, how big they are, their growth, revenue for the previous year, things of that sort, just to kind of get an idea of like how they've done in the past, what their plans are for the future. I also will try and find like news articles, like if there's any articles on them recently, and things of that sort. That way, like God forbid they ask me about like what am I most excited for about the company, or I actually recently in an interview was asked, so I know you've spent some time researching the company, tell me what you've found. It was the first time I've ever been asked a question like that, but I was definitely really happy that I took the time to look at the company's history and I was able to successfully answer that question. But if you don't, then like that looks really bad on your part. So I start by doing that. The next thing I do, which is a really big tip for you guys, is there is this awesome app called Glassdoor. And no, this video is not sponsored, but if you want to sponsor me, you can reach me over here. It's a really great app when you are in like the interview process or job hunting. And basically what the app is previous employees or current employees of different companies will go and like review the company, talk about like their salaries, interview questions, and so that's really where this is going to help us in this instance. So you can go on and look up interview questions that were asked for the specific position that you are interviewing for, and it's not a guarantee that they're going to ask those questions, but it's definitely likely. So I will kind of like gather all those questions that I can find on that website. The app is a lot easier though in my opinion, so just download the app, it's free. So I'll write all those questions down in the same Word document, and I will come up with like at least 3 different responses or examples to answer the question, and it's kind of like preparing a cheat sheet or study guide for this interview. So definitely utilize Glassdoor. I will have like the information in the info bar in case you guys are trying to utilize that resource. But yeah, so for every company, I always, like I said, do the history, figure out some questions. I also prepare my own questions, ones that I know are going to be typically asked, which I'll kind of go more in detail with those kind of questions later in the video, but I will leave some good examples of like frequently asked questions down below in the info box in case you guys would like to look at that or practice some of them. And then the last part of like my Word document that I wanted to talk about is, if possible and you're able to figure out the people that are going to be interviewing you, which in some cases they'll tell you and in some cases you might have to ask or they might not tell you, but it doesn't hurt to ask. I will actually go and like look them up on LinkedIn and just try and see like how long they've been with the company, where they worked beforehand, like what their major was, and that way like if any way I can tie in something that they like have done in the past or anything like that, it just kind of shows that you like took initiative to do research on them and it like looks really good. And so I know in the last interview I had, I was actually able to tie in the fact that she had been with the company for a certain amount of years, and it definitely was a big moment because I think it showed her that I took time out of my day to, you know, research her and like what she's done with the company and stuff like that. So it definitely looked really good. Okay, my next piece of advice is definitely to present yourself in the best way possible. Look the part. It's very important. Make sure before your interview you ask whether it's like the recruiter that you're working with or someone in the company, like what's the dress code like is it business professional, is it business casual, and that way you're not uncomfortable when you show up and everyone else is in like a suit and you're in like you know, just like jeans and a cute blouse. Definitely make sure you look the part for the company, whatever their dress code is. A lot of the times it is business professional, but I think it also depends on like what kind of position you're interviewing for. So definitely make sure you find that out, because you don't want to be in one of those positions where you're not dressed appropriately. And if you're like me and you're in college and you're really going through like the interview process with for internships or jobs, I do think it looks really good when you have a portfolio with you. I know at my school almost everyone has one, or at least in the School of Business everyone has one. You can get them super inexpensive. I got mine off Amazon for like $12, and it's really nice. It's just like a nice black you know, I don't know, like patent leather kind of material, and it's magnetic. It opens up like this, and then basically what I keep inside is always 2 pens just in case I lose one. I keep a notepad right here in the front, and a lot of the times what I'll do is, again, I'll write down the people that I'll be interviewing with, some of their information, and just some like information about the company, so prior to going in I can kind of like review and freshen up right before. And then on this side, mine has some pockets for business cards, so a lot of times I'll leave some business cards in here if I have them. And then in this right here, I keep extra resumes in case that they don't have one or they need an extra one. Just be prepared. And then I also have a separate sheet with my references. And if you guys want me to do a video about resumes and then basically like what should be on your resume and like the format and all that fun stuff, let me know, because I could totally film a video for you guys on that. But at my school, one of my professors told me to keep your references on a separate sheet and don't give it to them, and if they ask for it, have it. So that's what I do. I just keep it with me, and if they ask about references, I will just give them the sheet with my references on it. But looking the part is definitely a big thing. I feel like when you feel good and you look good, you present yourself in a different way and you just kind of come off more professional, or I don't know, it's just one of those things where I think we all feel that way. When we feel good about ourselves, we just present ourselves in a better light. So definitely make sure that like you're comfortable, like what you're wearing is not too tight. And if you guys, again, if you want to see a video more about like business professional dress attire, like what's appropriate, what's not, I could totally do something like that as well. So let me know down below if that's something you guys would be interested in. Okay, and then I wanted to spend some time talking about behavioral questions, because I feel like a lot of the times in these kind of interviews, these are the questions that are asked. And so basically what behavioral questions are, it's just like situation questions and how you would respond to it. And the whole purpose of them asking is just to basically see how you react to certain situations in the past, your leadership skills, things of that sort. Are you able to work well in a group? A lot of those kind of questions are asked. And again, I will leave some examples down below of like typical behavioral questions that are asked. But in this instance, when I'm asked questions like these, I like to use the STAR method, which is pretty popular. You can Google it. There's a lot of documents about it. I'll just kind of give you like a brief overview. So the S, I believe, stands for situation. T stands for task. A, I think, is action, and then R is either response or result. I'm sorry, I really don't know specifics, but I just kind of like know the points to hit. Basically, it's just like a nice way to stay on track and not just like ramble on for like 30 minutes about something without really kind of getting your point across. It's just a good way to hit points and then make sure that you answer the question in the end. So definitely a great method to practice. It's definitely something that you don't want to just go in blindly trying. Definitely like sit with a friend or a family member and like have them ask you questions and try and do it. So I definitely recommend that. It's a great tool that I personally use. Another tip that I have is, and it's a really important one, and I've heard especially from a lot of employers and professors, is to make sure that you send a thank you note following your interview, whether that's through LinkedIn or if you have their address and you can send them something, or an email. Make sure you follow up. It really goes a long way. It makes you stand out amongst the people who don't do that. So whether they respond or not, just say thank you so much for taking the time to interview me, and say something positive about the company that you really like. Keep it short. You don't want it to be like an essay or anything, maybe like 3 or 4 sentences. But again, just say how appreciative you are, something good about the company, and how excited that you are to potentially be working with them. And again, that will go really far. Okay guys, and then my last piece of advice, which I feel like is kind of cheesy, but I really feel like it's gonna take you the furthest. I really feel like it's the most important tip that I can give you, and it really is just to be yourself. And the reason why I say that is because just as much as the company is interviewing you, you're also interviewing them. Like at the end of the day, you want to be with a company that you feel like suits your personality and you'll be able to thrive in and be comfortable with the people that you're working with. And so make sure that you are yourself. You're not robotic. You're not just like giving, you know, set responses. Definitely answer the questions truthfully and just display your character. Chances are that they're going to like you for you and your personality, and they feel like you're going to be a good fit for the company and get along with the people that work with them. And a lot of the times when you don't get a job, maybe it's not because you weren't qualified for it or like you didn't have the right skill set, but because maybe they don't feel like your personality fits their work environment. And this is something that I've realized, like I don't want to be in a workplace where I don't get along with the people around me, or I can't like bounce my ideas off of them, or I'm just not gonna feel comfortable. Like I'm not gonna thrive in that kind of a situation. And so definitely be yourself. So again, be yourself. Take a deep breath, realize that they're probably just as nervous as you are a lot of the times. Like I know that's how I like to think about interviews, is like, you know what, it's not just me that's nervous, like they're nervous too. And so yeah, just take a deep breath. I personally, before going into an interview, just a couple of quick tips, I love to throw on like my girl boss jam. So whether that's like Beyonce or just something that's gonna like fire me up, love doing that. Definitely have a cup of coffee just so I'm really awake. And definitely just brush up on key things right before going in about the company. Make sure you know who their CEO is and like how much they made in revenue last year, and just important things like that, because you never know if they're gonna ask you questions like that. And yeah, those are all my tips and tricks as of right now. They might grow soon because I still have another year and I haven't started an actual job search. I've just been looking for an internship. So maybe I will film another one next year, and I'm interested to see like how it would change. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you were able to take something away from it. If you have any tips and tricks, be sure to leave them down below. I'd love to hear them. If you are preparing for an interview, I wish you the best of luck, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.